G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach with DR and welcome to part 2 of the round 14 Supercoach Stock Market video. I do have the webcam up and working again, don't know what was going on with this the other night. For anyone that hasn't already checked out part 1, I have already covered the defenders and the midfielders in a separate video. Reason behind that, just very quickly, because I did explain it in the other video, but I just wanted to get something out because I've really been struggling for time this week, and I thought at least if I do it in 2 parts, you'd be able to get the defenders and the midfielders a little bit earlier because, yeah, just been super busy. So what we'll do tonight with this video is we will cover the rucks and then we'll get right into the forwards. And there are a few forwards that people are looking to select. I think that's a pretty common line where we've got a few gaps with our premiums because it's been probably, well, not probably, it has been certainly the toughest line of the year by far this year. We've just had no consistent selections, and someone like a Josh Dunkley, he's now gone. So yeah, there are lots of people that are even looking for that last forward upgrade. You know, do we trade Impey? We'll talk a little bit about that. Some people did last week. Yeah, there's still a fair bit going on in Supercoach, even though the buys are behind us. So, hope you enjoy. And for the first time this season, we'll actually start off with the rucks. Now, I do bring some positive news for 48% of the competition. Sure, you've all heard by now, but Brodie Grundy is a confirmed starter for this week, so you'd be absolutely wrapped with that if you did hold on to him. If you are someone that did trade Brodie Grundy out, I'd love to hear in the comments section, A, who you traded him out for, and B, if you're looking to trade him back into your side. Look, personally, I traded him out for Zach Smith. It was a bit of a buy strategy move. I was looking for someone, not necessarily a premium, but a cheaper option that could make me a little bit of money while Brodie Grundy was out of my side. And Zach Smith was really the only option at the end of the day. The other option was this man at the top, Neddy Reeves. Geez, he's killed some coaches over the last couple of weeks. We all know the story by now. He was a late laid out. Johnny Segler comes in. You think, oh, well, it's only going to be for a week. Unfortunately, though, for Reevesy and for many super coaches, Segler just played the game of his life, played out of his skin. Never seen him play a game like that before. I started with this bloke last year because at the time all the rage was the fact that Rucks are going to score really well. So I thought, look, I'll start with that DPP ruck forward loop as my R3, and then I'll also get Johnny Segler into my forward line. But that was an absolute train wreck. Ended up trading him out pretty early on the season. I think George was actually in the same boat, and I think we both got him out at exactly the same time, just from memory. So a really failed pick. I don't even know why I'm talking about Segler, but Segler is the man that is affecting this pick, Ned Reeves. So break even of negative 100, 82,500 as a projected rise. I've got the best buy on him. Now, just remember, there is a caution symbol right next to that. Now, if he gets named, I think you can definitely bring him into your side if he gets named. Now, with the form that Segler's currently in, I don't see it happening anytime soon. But at the same time, Big Johnny's only, I think, a couple of weeks or a couple of bad games, away from getting dropped, and Reeves will get another opportunity. So if you are desperate to make a downgrade in your rucks, I need to pretty soon, for example, he could still be an option. But personally, my preference would be to bring in a 102k DPP ruck forward. If you've got a CCJ, it'd be awesome if you could loop with him. That way CCJ covers not only in your forward line, but also on your rucks if needed. I think that's probably the best move. So it does sound a little bit crazy given the fact that if Reeves does play, he hits 200k basically automatically if he can go near that score of 80. But at the same time, if you are running with a CCJ, then I think that is actually a pretty smart move. Just going your loop, that way he can cover multiple lines. I think that's the way to go. Josh Tracy as a ruck forward, I think the ship has sailed on him. Look, still going up 50k if he can score a projected score of 56. So if he goes under 60, goes up 50k. Now, it seems like a pretty good selection, doesn't it? But if we look at that season average, it's only 47. So the break even compared to the 3-rounder, yep, we've got a fair bit of value there. Have a look at that. Just absolutely amazing. But that season average, look, this bloke is more than capable of throwing in an absolute stinker. So for me, I think that the ship has already sailed. If you've managed to start with him, keep on to him. Yeah, terrific job. And I think he could actually be some decent cover. And I'll keep mentioning this swing with someone like a CCJ, for example. Joel Armity, just wouldn't go him. He's on the bubble though, looking to go up 38k. has that DPP status, which is, I suppose, handy. Would you go him over a Treacy? Look, maybe if you look at the average, yeah, you'd probably say yes, he's cheaper. But I probably don't know enough about the pick to give decent advice on him, to be quite honest. Rolly Thilthorpe, the hero. You've got to hold this man. 312,700, looking to go up 35k if he can hit a projected score of 72. I don't think there's any reason why he couldn't hit a type of score like that. We've seen him in round 1 kick. Was it a bag of 4 or 5? Awesome debut. One of the best ones you'll see from a young small forward. And he's sort of backed that up with some pretty solid performances, I think, during the season. And we all know what happened last week, the week before. The hero, the kick behind the head, absolutely fantastic for Adelaide supporters. But yeah, obviously don't bring him in, but certainly hold for now. Got a fair bit more money to make, I think. Matty Flynn, so you'll see that I do have the chopping block symbol on there, but I've also got the question mark because, look, you may be in a position this week where you just need to downgrade somewhere in order to make another upgrade. You may already have someone like a Bramble, your Bianco types, Newcombs, blokes that just have not appreciated enough for you to trade out and make some profit off in order to make any other upgrades. So if you're in that position, you can certainly trade him out this week. I wouldn't necessarily keep him if it's holding you back from making an upgrade. But at the same time, if you do have the luxury to keep onto him for at least one more week, his break-even's 20, his 3-rounder is 89, season average 93. He's actually in really, really good form, Matty Flynn. I actually really do rate him as a player, decent forward as well. So my advice is, if you can keep on to Flynn, do it, because there is still some money to be made on this pick. But if you do need to trade him out in order to make another upgrade, an on-field upgrade in your side, then certainly trade him out. That's okay. It's really team dependent, I think, the Matty Flynn trade in or trade out. Oh, sorry, not trade in, trade out or hold. Zach Smith, mentioned before, I've got him. Hasn't done quite what I wanted him to do. He's gone really, really close. If he can go around a 75 this week, I'd be absolutely stoked. Break even 31. All I need him to do is get to 300k or very, very close to 300k. And Brodie Grundy is a pretty easy trade in using just 2 trades, I think. Sean Darcy, this is actually Grundy's opponent on the weekend. He's got claims for, well, he's not number 1 or 2. That's Grundy and Gawn. Probably Nick Nat, you'd have to go next. He's probably the next best ruckman after that. So I'd probably have him at number 4. Even Rob, I don't mind also. But yeah, look, getting back to Darcy, absolutely monstered Zach Smith the last game that they played. Look, he's a man mountain, an absolute man mountain, this man. I'm pretty sure that Geelong are really keen on him. Whether he stays or goes, I'm not too sure. I don't know if any contract news with Darcy's been announced or anything. But look, he's one of those picks that I just sort of scrolled past pre-season. And to be really honest, I scrolled past every ruckman until I got right down to the bottom of the list and just tick that green plus sign, Max Gawn and Brodie Grundy. So, look, there's probably no reason at this stage that you bring Darcy in. Probably any other ruckman, really. You're either probably got Nick Nat if you haven't got Grundy, maybe a Rob. And if that's the case, you're probably just going to keep them for the rest of the season. Maybe, yeah, you could look to upgrade. I've had questions this week, would you go on Nick Nat or a Brodie Grundy? I'd go Grundy every day of the week. You're paying more for Nick Nat. It's just a little bit more, but it's still more. Grundy's got him 8 points on a season average. That 3-rounder, obviously Nick Nat's been in fine form lately. And look, if someone like Grundy or Gawn wasn't available, then sure, we look really closely to Nick Nat. But given the fact that Gawn and Grundy are there, the picks like, your Darcy types, even your Robs, and look, I really don't mind the Rob selection. I've actually contemplated that myself. I think the only option for me is Brodie Grundy. But I will talk about a couple of other players that I have at least had a look at, because, look, if I don't trade Grundy back in and I go for more of a value option, then I could maybe trade out a rookie that I want to trade out rather than someone like a Coleman Jones or a Poulter, who I'd love just to keep his coverage for the rest of the season. So, yeah, there's a few options that have floated through my mind, and probably for the first time this season, I'm actually taking a bit of a deeper look at some of these ruckmen. But yeah, Darcy, really solid ruckman, and I don't think Brodie's going to get an easy game. And if I quickly do go to Grundy, Look, who knows how he's going to come back from that injury. I'm really not too sure. It's a weird sort of an injury. There's not a whole heap of precedent for stuff like this. But look, if he's been cleared to play, I'm sure that he'll be right to go. But how will he score? Yeah, well, that's yet to be determined. But it certainly will not be a walk in the park. If you do look at Grundy's previous history, rucking against Freo, in the last three matches he's played, I think his numbers look pretty fine. But remember, Darcy is certainly one of the in-form ruckmen in the comp, I think, at this stage. Tommy Hickey, again, well, this bloke, we can't underrate this guy. If you started with him, yeah, great move. He's been absolutely terrific. I just did not see this coming whatsoever. I thought, look, you may make 100 to 150k on him, but Tom Hickey's just one of those picks, probably in the other side with Sinclair. But no, this man has really transformed his game and one of the better ruckmen in the competition. What a journeyman. 106 on the average for the season up to this point is just super impressive. But as I said, you're not looking to trade these blokes in. I'll tell you what, this guy, Sam Draper, a wacky thought crossed my mind when Spills was here. We were watching the game, and this guy was just terrific, I thought. So strong, athletic, got a real appetite for the contest. We know durability has obviously got to be a concern moving forward with Draper. But, for example, I could probably bring Draper in, very, very easily. Very, very easily. With one trade, I could do that. So, look, is it an option? No, I don't think so. It's a little bit wacky. But I've got the luxury of being able to check Draper out for at least the next 2 weeks before I make the decision on Brodie Grundy. Look, what do I do if his 3-round average is 110? It's an option. It's something that we may need to look at, particularly if you're someone that did trade Grundy out and you're really struggling for cash, not many trades in the bank, still upgrades to make elsewhere. It may be a move that you could look at, but make sure you just monitor him. As I said, durability is always going to be a concern, but if he can score decently against Max Gawn and Jackson this week, then I'll at least contemplate it. Call me crazy, and I probably am. It's really bad advice, I know, but you've got to look outside of the square, I think, at times. And Sam Draper could be a really sneaky ticket, I think, for some people. Rob talked about, look, that 3-round average, 125, that's only behind Gawn and Nick Nat. So, yeah, he's certainly got that claim for probably the next in line after Gawn and Nick Nat for the in-form ruckman in the comp. I'm not saying he's a better pick than Grundy, but when I say in-form ruckman, Grundy's obviously been out for those 3 weeks. Maxi Gawn, not much to say about him. You should already have him. Absolute must-have. Nick Nat, he's been a great selection, but look, a K more than Grundy. I'm going Grundy every day of the week. But yeah, he's such a gun, isn't he, Nick Nat? That time on ground, even though it's so low, he can still manage to score. He's just such an impactful type of player. Yeah, real fan of Nick Nat. Meant to be a pretty decent bloke, I've heard as well. So that sort of, adds to him, I think, as a person and a player. And Grundy, as we've spoken about, back for owners this week, you'd be absolutely wrapped. On to the forwards, 500k plus. Yes, well, I did end up keeping on to Kermit Zorko. I'm pretty sure I'll have them up at simple on him for the rest of the year. Maybe if he pulls out a 150 for me, I'll remove it for him. But look, really killed me last week not having him. Would have had 19 on field, would have gained his premium score, lost someone like a Lockie Jones, low score. So Dane, you owe me, mate. Look, at the end of the day, the reason why I decided to keep onto Zorko and trade out Brodie Grundy was because of their financial situation. If you look at that break even, Zorko, 66, Grundy's around the 150s or 160s. So I think financially it just made sense to lose Grundy, try to get more of a cash cow in, then keep this man. So look, if he goes, what's at a 128, he reaches 630k, which I never thought we'd see from Zorko again. I'll be quite honest, I wasn't a fan of this pick at the start of the year, but he did convince me. I did bring him in, and apart from the suspension, if I'm talking purely about on-field scores, he has been absolutely fantastic for me. He's given me that 134 3-rounder average. So, you don't look to get him in, I don't think. He's just too expensive. If you're spending 600k, go out and get yourself a really good mid. Do not spend 600k on Dane Zorko. I just don't think he's worth it. Lockie Neal's back on the side. Berry's going to be back soon. We'll lose some of those mid-minutes. I still expect him to score really well and be one of the top forwards, but 630k? Well, certainly not. I don't think. He's just, bound to come down in price, I think. Charlie Dixon could be a real value option. Look at that 3-round average, 122. That's even above my favourite forward selection this year, Aaron Hall. So with Dixon, you know it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride. He's going to get you some really nice scores. Had a nice fixture the last couple of weeks, remember, as well. He's also going to chuck in a few poor scores here and there. We've seen what's happened with the Tomahawk. That will happen with Dixon at some stage as well. You're getting him, I wouldn't say a bargain price. A good price for Dixon's around your 450 mark, I think. So you are paying 523. Remember, that was Bailey Dale type price last week before his poor game. So think about that. Are you willing to spend that much on a Charlie Dixon? Look, you may. And if he continues with that form, that 3-round average of 122, then hey, terrific selection. But just remember, he will throw in a stinker at some stage. I'll absolutely guarantee it. Aaron Hall, this bloke is my favourite selection. I cannot understand why you haven't got him in by now. Surely he's shown you enough. The durability thing, I don't think that we can hold on to that. You've just got to let it go. If you don't have this man in your side, he's got to be hurting you, doesn't he? I look at this as a pairing, personally, with Jack Zeeble. And I've said this on multiple occasions. I'm looking for probably 220 as a pairing, preferably with Hall going the 120 and Zeeble going the 100. Obviously, because there's so many more coaches that actually own Jack Zeeble. Hall is nowhere near as much of a positive as he was before his bye. After the bye, I know a fair few blokes that have ended up just biting the bullet, getting him in. But he just has not gone below the ton for me. Each and every week, I think at stages, he's a little bit slow. This is going to be the week where he has his bad game. This is going to be the week. But this man just seagulls his way all the time to 3 figures. I just can't see him not doing it. He's had a DeBoer tag. That didn't affect him much. I know it slowed him down a little bit at the start of the game, but he's just a machine, this man. The 1, 2, 3s, surely by now, looking at that season average of 96, the 3-round average of 121. Go and check out his 6-round average. You'll be really, really impressed. Got the perfect role for Supercoach. Some people worried that Luke McDonald was going to affect the Aaron Hall pick. Nah, not in any way, shape or form will Luke McDonald affect Aaron Hall. That is his role. He's the main man down there along with Zeeble. He'll give you points every single week. Hasn't let me down, as I said. I've been advocating him for so long. I'm just almost on repeat probably with Aaron Hall. So if you haven't got him, you are looking for a forward, I go Aaron Hall over anyone that you'll see on this list or any other list I've got with forwards on it. So Aaron Hall, for me, the ultimate forward pick. Buy him now if you haven't got him. Jay-Z, not much to say about him. We've all got him. Just keep on to him. 3 rounds now of 110. It wasn't looking like he was going to have a 110 3-round average for a fair while. He did drop off a little bit. I think that was due to Aaron Hall. A lot of that was due to Aaron Hall. But he's really bounced back now. Keep on to the man. I'm sure that you've all got him anyway. Shy Bolton. Now, this is interesting. Just before making the video, she actually mentioned to me, and I tried to quickly look on the AFL app. I just want to try to get this out as quick as possible. But she did mention that apparently he was seen getting scans this morning, and they were asking, what's going on, anything to worry about. I haven't seen it myself, so I'm just going off secondhand talk from a mother-in-law. Whether or not there is an issue, I'm not quite sure, but why would he be getting scans? Apparently didn't say too much. Maybe a little bit of a concern, so certainly make sure that you do your research. I'm going to do a little bit of digging after I've done the video. I'm not looking to trade him in personally. My forward line's full, but I know that many coaches may be looking to trade him in this week. He's obviously off the bye. All players are. Just check that out, because if he's fine and not injured, I think he's a terrific selection, and probably the man that I would take after Aaron Hall. Oh, you've got danger there. We'll talk about danger in a sec, but Shy Bolton, if he's fit, I think that he's a good pick. The Tomahawk. Now, this is, as we've said before, just one of those roller coaster type selections. He'll give you some great scores. He'll give you some average scores, but really, the pattern is, what's it been for the last 3, maybe even 4 years, that he just makes his way really, really close to the top 10 averaging forwards each year. Now, the thing is that what you've got to keep in mind is that every year he does tend to start around that top 10. A lot of that is due to the fact that many guys that we can select in the forward line, I'm talking about Track last year and Andy Brayshaw last year, they then become pure mids. We see it all the time. So keep that in mind as well. That's a big reason for Tomahawk consistently being right up the, well, when I say right up the top, in that top 10 highest priced players at the start of the season, because automatically he goes up when other players get taken out of that position. So just keep that in mind as well. Now, Patrick Dangerfield. This is going to be, a really big talking point. So 95 him in the weekend, really scaled up in the last 5 minutes. So I think it was 26 possessions, around 60% efficiency though. There were 3 behinds to go with that. So it may have been a case of what could have been for Danger, but certainly not in red hot form. And the best play, in my opinion, is to wait one more week if you can, and then get him if he gets another 95 to 100. He should only get better, I think, as he regains his touch. But in saying that, durability still has to be somewhat of a concern. But this man has been an absolute champion, and it's all about the price that we're paying for him. We're not paying 600k for Danger. Now, I can't predict what he's going to score on the weekend, but if we are going by the Supercoach projections here, they're saying he's going to go around to 107. If that is the case, and that may be actually a realistic projected type score. Some you see and you go, well, no way in the world he gets that. But I think 107 for Danger is pretty fair. So if he does that, goes down 13k, you're basically getting him for 500k. So Danger at 500k, is a really, really good price. But we do want to actually see some of this form on field. As I said, I think it'll probably be another 2 weeks away before he really finds his touch. So I certainly am an advocate of the Dangerfield trade-in. Look, you could do it now. You're still getting him at a bargain. He'll most likely still lose money. But if you have to do it this week, he's still a pretty good selection, I think. So Hall would definitely be the man that I would trade in first. Second, if it's this week, it's tough because you got Shy Bolton with an 89 break even there, but all of a sudden there may be some concerns on that. I'm not sure if she got that wrong or not, but that's what she heard apparently. Or Danger, that you're going to lose a bit more money, but if you talk about runs on the board, this guy, has been an Uber premium for years and years. I'm not saying he's an Uber this year or anymore. I'm certainly not writing the great man off, but for 515,000, it's probably tough to go past Danger. So I'd probably have Hall, Danger, and a fit Shy Bolton at number 3. On to the forwards, 250 to 500k. Some of these blokes I'll go through pretty quickly, but the man up the top, you'd be wrapped if you held on to him. What a game on the weekend. 100 plus score from Miles Bergman, 270,100, now with a negative break even of 22. I say that you hold him for another couple of weeks, take advantage of that really nice score being in his price cycle, and then look to flip him after that, I think. But if you're a current owner, wrapped to have this bloke making more money for you. Rosie, now I didn't know what symbol to put on him. I was going to put the trap. I ended up going with the caution symbol in the end. Now, I find it really hard to get a read on the pick. He was a real burn man for some teams last year. What did he get up to? Was it, I might be exaggerating when I say 500k, at least 450k. I know people paid up for Rosie last year and left really, really disappointed. He can go on some hot streaks, but how long's this hot streak going to last for? He's had foot issues that we know of this year. Been talk about him going in for surgery at some stages. I think he's just managed to play through the pain a lot of the time. So that's always going to be a slight concern, I think. We know that this guy's got the talent. When he's on, he's on. I think the other week was 4 goals just in 1 quarter. He's a phenomenal talent. Been a little bit inconsistent over the last couple of years. His first year, I think, has probably been certainly his most consistent year in the AFL system, and surely it'd have to be his best year, I think, in the system as well. But he's an absolute gun, will only get better. Consistency is my major concern, given the fact he's playing predominantly as a forward, not getting much time whatsoever in the midfield. I'm not a huge fan of this pick, but at the same time, if you're really strapped for cash at 361,000, he could be worth a look. But just be prepared to be disappointed at the same time. Look, he may find some really consistent form and put on a hot streak for the next month. I'm not too sure, but I just wouldn't be overly confident on the Rosé pick. Jake Stringer, the package delivered, didn't he? In a big, big way over the weekend. Had to put the new symbol for him, the Australia Post symbol. Yeah, this man did just deliver. One of the better games I've seen from any player this season. You just knew when Stringer went near the ball that something was going to happen. Now, this happens once in a blue moon, and this is what you need to be really careful of with the Jake Stringer pick. Remember earlier on the season, I had the trap symbol on him, and I think that was a pretty fair symbol because he did have, was it 2, maybe even 3 good games in a row? I can't even remember all the way back to that stage, but I said, look, just be really careful with the Stringer pick. And apart from last week, he hasn't really shown much after that. So do not be confident that this is going to be a weekly thing from Jake Stringer. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be maybe, once in every 10 weeks if you're lucky. I think maybe 2 performances like this in a season from Stringer, and the rest, maybe a couple of good games here and there. But he's pretty mediocre, I think, Jake Stringer. Got a lot of talent, but we just haven't seen the best of him. Durability always a bit of a concern as well. So I would not be going Jake Stringer purely because I'm not confident that he can replicate what he did over the weekend. Liam Ryan, real pod pick. I've got the trap there because the average for the season is 61. You know, what's to say that that's going to massively spike? Look, possibly what is in his favours at West Coast are regaining a few extra plays into the side, a few extra premiums. So, look, maybe there is a little bit of value there, and the trap symbol is a little bit harsh, but I just wouldn't be going there. Same as Zach Bailey. As much as I love this man, he's been in fine form, just not consistent enough. Doesn't find enough of the ball, I think. He needs another 5 touches at least, I think, per game to be a really viable selection. But going into the future, I think he's going to be a real gun for us. I hope he's available as a forward again next season. I'll be doing a lot of research, keeping a keen eye on how he actually finishes the 2021 season. So maybe for next year, Zach Bailey, if he's in the forward line at a decent price. Cody Waitman, a 60, so that was handy for owners in a tough week. I'm assuming for most people he'll be a trade-out target, maybe with, a CCJ for your final upgrade. Look, any time from here, I think is fine to do that. May also provide good coverage for the year, so individual circumstances, you can keep him, you can trade him. It's really team dependent, I think, the Cody Waitman one. Jordan De Goey, he's just going to be an absolute roller coaster, but look, his 3-round average is 91. Do I ever advocate this pick? Absolutely not. NDHP, inconsistent, durability is a concern. I just wouldn't be going there, but similar to someone like a Rosé, that's probably a decision that you need to make, isn't it? If you're looking at someone within that price range. So Rosé or De Goey, I don't like any of the other picks. I'd just go Rosé because I think he's a better bloke. Now, Poulter, how is it? I've got to stop doing this every week. Poulter I'm going to go with, and I think that's right. 313,000 on the dot. Projected score of 72. If he can hit that, up 18,000. So he's getting to the 330 mark. Now, I don't know if you called a bold decision last week, maybe, but I made the decision, rather than going up to real uber premium, wasting a trade there, to just hold on to this man, possibly and hopefully his coverage for the whole year. I have been saying for a long time, when I say a long time, for the last few weeks after this bloke's been in the side, that he's the ideal candidate for that M9/F7 swing. Just perfect coverage. Job security is absolutely rock solid. I actually think he's one of their better players and just has such a bright future. Really made that wing spot his own, taken ownership. Yep, super Caleb to have in your side, I think, at this stage. Most people traded him out last week. That was always a plan for me. But as we know, circumstances changed and I decided to keep on to him. So, he's still got a little bit more money to make. Maybe max out around that 350 mark. But at this stage, I'm planning on holding him. And if you do have him and you can use other rookies to cull for your couple of final upgrades, I'd be doing that and holding on to the man. But again, Spills made a really good point in the podcast that it is a lot of money to have sitting on your bench, and you can probably rely on a Newcomb Bianco type. So Each to their own, but I just think that he provides ideal cover, particularly with that DPP status. Jeremy Cameron, I told you this is going to be a roller coaster ride from the highs of what was the 150 to the low this week of 66. The car didn't completely fall off, but certainly not a score owners will be happy with. How much will he score this week? Well, only one person knows that. That is the Supercoach God. Or is it a plural? The Supercoach Gods. I can't tell you how much he's going to score. It could be a 60 or it could be a 130. He's coming up against Brisbane. Who plays on him? I think that Adams goes to Hawkins, which means Andrews plays on him this week. He has been moving up the ground a lot. So I'm not exactly sure, but Cameron on Andrews. I really, really rate Andrews. Maybe Brisbane Lions bias, but the All-Australian selectors agree with me, I think. Yeah, I don't think Cameron's in for a massive score this week. But, again, it's definitely not out of the question. And Big H, Harry Jones, break even at 44. Again, he's one of these blokes that you can just cull whenever you want. You know, if you need to get rid of him to make an upgrade, do it. If you don't need to, he should make a little bit more cash. Wouldn't it be a bonus if you get to, say, 300k for you? Toby Green, what a roller coaster ride this man is for owners. Look, the highs of a massive 125 score. When I say massive, maybe not massive, but a really decent score of 125. And then you get the lows during the game. You know, heart attacks, gut punches. You know, what are you doing, Toby? I thought that he'd really stamped that out of his game. Really improved leadership this year, showing greater maturity. Being a good role model, I think, and really carrying the GWS team with him. And, you know, come on, come with me, boys, you know. I think they love him down there, or up there, wherever you're from at GWS. But unfortunately, it seems like it's not out of his game. And it's always going to be a concern with Toby Green, along with a bit of durability. Yeah, what's this man going to do? The NDHP, we all know what it stands for. That's your main concern with Toby Green. Now, if I hadn't have seen that incident on the weekend, I would be highly, highly advocating to bring him into your side. They've got a really nice fixture, the Giants. I've got the buy now symbol on him, but I do have the caution symbol there. Don't complain if you do bring him in, if he does get suspended, because that is a risk that you are taking right from the start with Toby Green. But the break even of 45, projected score of 95, 22k, he'll be up to 500k before we know it. I think rising even further if he can stay on the field and if he can stay disciplined. If he does something silly, you can't blame anyone but yourself for trading him in. So would I take the gamble? Oh, well, it depends on who else you've got on your side. You know, if you're running with, you know, Josh Kelly in your mids, who's under an injury cloud at the moment, if you've got a Heaney, for example, and you're keeping on to him, there's no way that I could do it. But if you're pretty solid down there, durability-wise, I think that you can still trade him in with pretty good confidence. But, geez, yeah, come on, Toby, get your act together, mate. Dusty obviously didn't play last week, but I still think he's a buy now. It is Dusty. 3-round average is above the ton now, so the second highest you see on the screen behind this man, Tom Langford, who I ended up trading in this week. That's another story. But, yeah, I still advocate the Dusty pick, you know. He will come good, I think. We know what Richmond do towards the end of the season. Dusty sometimes leaves it right until the end of the season, doesn't it, when it's finals time? But, yeah, I'd still bring him in at that price. Lots of coaches have him. If you don't, yeah, I think he's, one of the safer picks at this stage. Nick Hind looked absolutely sublime. I had, not seen a game like that from Hind ever, I don't think. I have missed a couple of his games where he scored okay, but he was just so damaging. You know, that run and carry was just fantastic, and a big reason behind why Essendon really got on top of the Hawks, I think. Now, the issue that I have with the Hind pick is if I'm an opposition coach, I'm now looking to lock down on Nick Hind. He's simply too dangerous. He sets up too much of Essendon's play, so I can't see him getting a free rein after that performance. And the other thing is, remember, there were only 5 games over the weekend, so lots of people did get to see this man play, whether sometimes you may skip the Essendon game if you only got time to, watch a few. Most people, I think, did actually watch this game. So, a really, really solid selection, but there is a little bit of caution there because, surely they've got to lock down on him from now on after that performance. But, for 485k, like him a lot better than Cole Langford anyway. And now Jarman Impey, I ended up keeping him largely due to the fact that I just need him as cover during the buys. If you did get rid of him, you would be kicking yourself a little bit now. 407,200. That break even was really high. Look, if you had have scored a 50-60, yeah, that price point was looking to go south really, really quickly. But given the fact he went a 109, that break even is now 76. But if you look at that, it's still in red as compared to his 3-rounder. So that does go to show that 3-round average, how poor he has been playing. Now, when I say how poor, you know, different roles, he's been moved around a little bit. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but we did see him on the weekend again play more of a friendly role. They did lock down a little bit more on him in the second half. I think he was at about 74, 75 at half time. So the fact he ended up on a 109 does suggest that he did really slow up. But at the same time, given the fact he got that really bright start, it was over 40 points in the first quarter alone, that set him up for a really nice score. He could afford to go a little bit more quiet in quarters 3 and 4. So I'm happy, really happy that I ended up holding on to him. Now, I'm not saying that it was a bad decision to trade him. Look, last week, it may have been a bad decision if you look purely at the score. But if he turns around and gives us, a 75 average from here on out, then you're a winner if you trade him out. I think depending on who you got in, Bailey Dale's not looking great at the moment, but I think he returns to his role. I think he was only played up forward. We might as well just quickly talk about Dale. He was played up forward, I think, more due to circumstances. Norton was out of that game. So with Dale, I wouldn't be too worried about the selection, but at the same time, I wouldn't be bringing him in because his break-even's all the way up to 144 now. That 150 is now out of his price cycle. That's got to be replaced with another big score in order for him to even maintain that price point of under 500k now. So I would not be advocating trading in Dale this week. Maybe in a couple of weeks, he'll be at, what could he go down to? Even the 450 mark, depending on how low he goes this week. So Bailey Dale, no for me this week. But yes, if he can hit some form in the next couple. Joey Danaher, I think he's on the chopping block now. He's not a keeper. He won't be a keeper, I don't think. Big Joey. 388,000. You've still made a bit of coin on him. I know lots of people already traded him out, but I would be trading him out if you could. I'd be going up to even a Hind type, a Dusty, even a Green, anyone with a buy now there, or obviously, yeah, many of the selections that we had with the 500k plus defenders. But Joey at the moment, his 3-round average is only 64, just not in fine form. Still will have a few good games from here to there. Can go over the ton, don't get me wrong, but I'd just be cashing in on him at this stage and upgrading to one of these other options. Taron Thomas is a pod, but I just couldn't bring myself to get him in. 437k. Yeah, just go 50k more to another selection, I think. Now, the next man I did bring into my side, Cole Langford, 495,400. Slightly regretting it now. Look, it was just one of those games from Langford, almost what could have been. Kicked a goal in the first quarter, looking okay with 24 points. Basically did nothing in the second quarter. I don't even know if he scored at all. May have been 3 points that he scored to get up to around the 27 mark. So ended up having a pretty solid second half. There was one occasion I mentioned on my round review when Draper had the ball. Could have given him a nice easy handball. Possibly Langford could have run in for an open goal around the 50 to 45 mark. But nah, unfortunately, Draper handballs it at his feet. He fumbles. I think it even resulted in a turnover. It was just that type of game from Langford, Got a few CBAs, started off a wing at times, also up forward. So throwing around a fair bit. Now, what happens when Shield comes back into the side? That does have me concerned a little bit. But it's the package that really concerns me. He just had one of these games, and I hope that they just don't persist with him. Maybe they start the package there again the first quarter, does bugger all like he does a lot of the time, and they go, come on, Big Cole, come back in there, son, and help us out here. But yeah, look, I wouldn't be advocating trading him into your side. I'd certainly be going another selection. The price that you're paying, almost 500k now. I got him at about 470, so I think he went, 475, I think. So he did go up about 20k. Look, it isn't a failed pick yet. It's only been 1 week. I've still got some hope for him because I do rate him as a player. And we never know when the next injury is going to come along. Could he kick a couple of goals in the forward line? That'd be handy. So he still does have a few avenues to score. But what I really want to see is him inside the middle and the package outside. Still side bottom. Yeah, 485,000. Just been a super disappointing pick this year. What did he start at? It was, around the 580k mark, I think, from memory. Maybe a little bit cheaper than that. But he's only delivered a 90 average on the season. 95 for a 3-rounder. So, in okay form, particularly for a forward. At that price, 485,000, you can look to get him in. But I just don't think he's going to deliver you anything special. Just pay up. You've got someone like a Toby Green at 471, who's, I just think, is going to be a better pick if he's disciplined. Tex, you wouldn't look to go him, 418k. Harry Mackay, he's a really interesting pick. So I've got the symbol there, similar to Pendle's. If you are simply strapped for cash and you cannot afford to bring in a premium, then this could be the guy for you, I think, after next week. His break-even sits at 100, so you wouldn't bring him in yet. But we know that he's got the potential to kick some big bags. I'm pretty sure he's still leading the Coleman. Not too sure. Haven't checked that out for a couple of weeks. But he'll get to, around the 300, 310 mark. It's really hard to predict what he's going to score. They're giving him a 59. So it depends on what your predictions are for Harry Mackay. But yeah, he could just be one of those bargain basement options if you just don't have the cash to go anyone else. Isaac Heaney's a trap. You know how I feel about him. Not going to spend any time on him. If I had him, which obviously I don't, I'd just get him out of my side. Just couldn't stand having Heaney in my side. And Dale, already talked about him a little bit. Don't buy him at the moment, but maybe in a couple of weeks if you can get a couple of nice scores in a row. And on to the forwards, under 250k. You'll see there's two blokes right at the top of the list. They're both on the bubble this week, and you'll also see a number of similarities. Look at the average, the break-even, the price. Very, very similar, these two men. But unfortunately, there is something else that they do share in common, and I think that is poor job security. So Briggs, he obviously came in for Mumford. Lynch, he's obviously been taking that place of Grundy while he's been injured. So given the fact that both Mummy and Brodie are back this week, I can't see either of these two blokes actually keeping their spot. Briggs has the better chance out of the two, I think. He can also play a key defensive role. I doubt whether or not all three get played. When I say all three, I'm talking about Mummy, Flynn and Briggs. He's certainly third in line for that ruck role. I'm hoping that he does because I'm an owner. I brought him in last week, mainly due to the fact that I just wanted some on-field points and I needed to make a downgrade anyway, and he was a good option at the time. So I wouldn't advocate bringing them in this week. But look, if Briggs plays, for example, then yeah, maybe you could take a look at him. But yeah, probably not, I don't think. CCJ, talked about him a little bit already when I was in the Rucks. He's a great swing option for the rest of the season if you can. But I think for most people, you'll probably have to trade him out in order to make one of your last couple of upgrades. But a lot more money to make. He should easily get over the 300k mark if he keeps on scoring like he is. I'm not saying he's going to go 90 for the rest of the season, but even some 80 type scores, high 70s, he'll easily get to that mark. And for many coaches, yeah, he's been a bit of a lifesaver in regards to upgrade cycle. Spuddy Dow, well, you know how I feel about him. I've got the Spud symbol there, so I think that says it all. But well done, son. A negative break-even of 9. Great for Dow. Jimmy Madden, love this bloke. Just a speedy, attacking type of defender. We didn't actually see a lot of that speed and attack, though, on the weekend. So I'd like to see a bit more of that from Madden. But short term, his job security is really good. It's going to be pretty simple, I think, with Jimmy. When Froggy Lester, that's Ryan Lester for anyone, well, obviously Lester you'll be able to tell from that, but Froggy is Ryan Lester's nickname. When Froggy comes back into the side, I'm pretty sure that Madden just goes straight back out. That's been the pattern this year. So, yeah, I think Froggy's about 2 to 3 weeks away. So, what could he get up to? Geez, if he could get to around 300k, I'd love to actually trade him to a DPP player, probably a ruck forward. And then I would trade Zach Smith up to Brodie Grundy. I've got 100k in the bank. I may be able to do that Luck would have to go my way, but we'll see what happens there. And Alec Waterman, he was obviously injured on the weekend. I think that he may be available for selection this week. But remember, Draper's come back into the side, 2 metre Peter. I don't actually know if Waterman fits in there. I'm really not too sure. I wouldn't be overly confident in him coming straight back in. And the last man on the list for this week is Archie Perkins. So not much to say about Archie. If you look at that break even, it is definitely in the red, 78. This is the ideal time to move him on. But again, I've said it a lot. I've repeated myself. You can keep on to him if you're not desperate to make an upgrade. But he will lose money. If you don't trade him this week, he's probably just going to be cover for the rest of the year. So that's it for now, guys. Thanks very much as always for joining me. Hope that you found a bargain or a trade-in target or two, or even maybe you've just been able to make your mind up about whether to cull a particular player or not. We're all in different positions at the moment. So with the stockies going forward, what I might do in maybe 3-4 weeks' time is maybe just take requests and you guys let me know who you want me to cover. And rather than have so many options, you know, pages and pages, slides and slides, I might even just go off your feedback. I can compare players. I can change it up a little bit once most of our teams are upgraded. But look, thanks for, again, as I said, I'm not sure, I can't even see the time. I don't know how long this video's gone for. A lot shorter than what the usual stock market goes for. I just lose track of time when I'm talking Supercoach. And talking about losing track of time and talking Supercoach, Spills and I tell you what, we absolutely love it. So please make sure that you do check out our new Supercoach Swordplay podcast. We do have a new channel dedicated purely to that. We would really appreciate your support. Uploaded every Tuesday night to that channel. This week, we did actually do the podcast on the Tuesday night, but I'm still having trouble uploading it. It's something going on with Skype. I can't work it out, but hopefully that will be up tonight, if not tomorrow morning. But apart from that, guys, all the best of luck as always. Great job to all those players that managed to actually move up the ranks during the buys. It wasn't easy this year, but for those people that didn't, keep on trucking light at the end of the tunnel. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.